Hey everybody, it's your girl Punky Brewster. That's my intro now because I can't come up with anything better. And I'm here to talk about...
KZMB All Zombie Radio.
We're going to take a step into the Wayback Machine today. We're going to go way back to the 3rd of October, 2011. The Walking Dead had already aired its first season, and it was swiftly getting ready to air its second. Yours truly was desperate for more Walking Dead content, and in a frantic Googling, I found that there were webisodes released. It was a short, simultaneous release of 6 very small webisode episodes. The entire overarching series is called Torn Apart. Now, each one of these series, there were several, 4 for The Walking Dead in promotion for that flagship show, and then 4 that were released in promotion for Fear the Walking Dead. Each of these web series does tie back into its flagship show in some way. Either a tiny tip of the cap to something, or you might see something that you've seen in a previous episode. We're going to start with Torn Apart, the first of 4 of these web series for The Walking Dead. Now, Torn Apart stars a cast of characters including Lily Birdsell as Hannah, Rick Otto as Andrew, Madison Leslie as Jamie, Griffin Cleveland as Billy. Now, some of these actors you might recognize. Lily Birdsell was in Once Upon a Crime, Palm Springs. She was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Rick Otto has been in Bosch and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so they did get to, work on the same show, which is kind of cool. And Officer Kenneth Dozerman in The Wire. Madison, who played Jamie, has been Whitney Gruber on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, personal favorite of mine. She's also been on The Ghost Whisperer and Inherent Vice. Griffin Cleveland, who played Billy, has been in Medium, Lie to Me, Bones, Castle, Criminal Minds, so like real procedural crime stuff. There were a few other people that ended up in this small web series, and they are Danielle Bergio as Judy. She was in Army of the Dead. She was also in Fear the Walking Dead and House of the Dead 2. Rex Lynn plays Palmer, and you may recognize him from Better Call Saul. He also played Principal Peterson on Young Sheldon, and Nathan Riggs in the Lethal Weapon television show. He was also in Zombievers, Jag, Third Rock, The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. So this guy has a lot to his name in terms of acting cred. There were a few uncredited people as well, most notably Scott Ian of Anthrax. What? Yeah, so Scott Ian is in this, and we'll get to that later. What? We also have some people who worked on other Walking Dead materials. So Savannah Jade We Hunt is a walker, Kim Ferris is a walker. So there were a lot of people in this show, even in this web series, even though it was very small. It was written by John Esposito. He was a producer From Dusk Till Dawn, and he was a writer on another show that we all love, Creepshow by Greg Nicotero. He's also done work for R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour. This was also directed by Greg Nicotero, and co-written by him. Now, prior to this web series, his directorial debut was a short called The United Monsters Talent Agency. You can find it on YouTube. I'll link it below in the description. It's a really short satirical film about old Universal monsters, and it's really interesting. You just have to go take a look. It's short. Go watch it. It's fun. After that, he came to do The Walking Dead special effects. This is his next piece of directing. As we all know, he went on to direct many episodes of The Walking Dead, but this was kind of how he got his foot in the door for that, with The Walking Dead. So now that you have a little backstory to what exactly this web series was comprised of and who our key players are, let's get into the story. Episode 1, entitled A New Day, starts off with a very ominous backlit scene of Hannah, Jamie, and Billy all together. They're backlit, so it's just silhouettes, and in front of them is a goldfish bowl with a dead goldfish floating on the top. And Billy asks, "Why do things have to die?" And Mom responds, "That's God's plan, baby boy. Everything dies." Now, while as a Christian I may disagree with this statement, that's not the plan. She's right, everything does die, and I get it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek reference to the fact that there will be undead shortly. Sorry if that spoiled it for you. That's where we're going with this. So we then jump cut to a car accident. Mom's phone is broken, and there's this panning shot to a bike, and that's obviously meant to be significant, and we will come to find out at the end of this web series what that's all about. There is a blood-covered birthday party, which is unsettling. It's clearly like very early in the apocalypse because nobody quite knows what to do. Hannah is trying to find her kids, get away from the car, and she stumbles upon a body being eaten by other people, which would be very unsettling if you didn't know what was happening. So I can see her distress. She is at this point kind of noticed by a walker, and that walker is a little bit faster. And this is it kind of reminds us of that time in which the Walking Dead series was led by Frank Darabont and had very much that Darabont influence. This is that influence at play. The faster walker, them being able to use tools, all of that stuff was all Frank Darabont's influence. So it's kind of interesting to see, and it makes me feel a little nostalgic. So she's noticed by a walker. She's trying to get into a house very desperately. She's at the door. She's looking under the mat for the key. And at the very last second, she's saved by a handsome stranger. End of episode 1. All right. Episode 2 begins. Family Matters is its title. Not to be confused with the beloved 90s sitcom. It opens again on Hannah down on her knees at the front door and a handsome stranger opening the door and shooting the walker that's behind her. Gasp! Handsome stranger is not a stranger. It's Dad. And the kids are with him. So Hannah is relieved, needless to say, that her kids are alive. She asks why they didn't stay with the car, and they respond that they thought that she was dead, which, one, is upsetting because they're children, but two, did you want them to die waiting for you? Come on, woman, get it together. This is the apocalypse now. Hannah does ask, where is Judy? Who is Judy? You'll find out shortly enough. And then it switches scenes to Hannah being taken care of by Andrew. He's attending to a head wound that she has because the beginning of all of this was started by a car accident that we didn't see it happen off screen. But apparently a car came out of nowhere and she swerved and ran into a tree. She passed out, injured herself, and the kids took off. Luckily, their dad lived close and they got there unharmed, thankfully. At this point, Andrew states that emergency broadcast system took over and that it's happening everywhere, and that Mike Palmer says that it's terrorists. Hannah responds, I never thought I'd live to see the day when you quoted Mike Palmer, which is just Who is Mike Palmer? Why don't we like him? Is he like your conspiracy theorist neighbor? I like him just from that alone. For some reason, at this point, Jamie comes in and asks about Max. Where's Max, the dog? He's got Max's dog bowl. Andrew responds like irrationally angry. He tells the kid that he's probably sleeping outside, and when Billy's like, well, I'll go wake him up, he's like, no, don't do that. Put that dog bowl back. It doesn't belong to you. It's like weirdly over the top. It's clear that Max is dead. Like, obviously. Or injured at best case scenario. But anyway, then the kid takes the bowl, puts it back, and in the foreground, we see something rolled up in a carpet. It's bloody, and it's moving. And that's the end of episode 2. Episode 3, domestic violence. It begins with a woman running outside with a grocery bag. She comes upon a vehicle in which it's stopped in the middle of the road, the door is wide open, and apparently its driver is unconscious on the ground. This person, being, like a good Samaritan, runs over, tries to help the young girl who had been driving. Now, she goes to do CPR because she sees that the person is not breathing. And new core fear unlocked. She goes to give mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and the walker comes to life and bites her lip. Horrible. It then pans to Andrew's house, and we hear a gunshot, so we're not sure where that falls in. He is coming into the house with a shotgun. It looks like he's just coming in. He locks the door behind him. He goes to the sink and he washes his hands, which are bloody, mind you, over dishes. Bruh. Gross. At this point, the power goes out and we hear something in the background. Andrew goes to investigate, and the front door is left wide open. The kids are nowhere to be found, so this is a flashback sequence, this entire episode. He sees a blood trail on the floor, and he comes to find the woman that we saw helping to save the girl inside. Her stomach is all bloody, and she sounds like she's already turned. Now, here's where it gets a little bit funky, because he shoots her in the stomach or chest area, and she falls over. And so it's like, was she dying and did that kill her? Or is she already undead, and then why is she stunned by a shotgun blast, and why does that knock her out? It's a little weird. I'm gonna go with that she's still alive and this helped contribute to her death, so she hasn't fully turned yet, because otherwise it doesn't really make sense. We see a broken photo at this time, and it is Andrew with his new wife. So this is Judy. He does touch her stomach very tenderly where the wound is and starts crying. So I have wondered in my watching of this, my many watches of this, is she pregnant? And is that what that signifies, that moment? I'm not quite sure. But either way, R.I.P. Judy, and I guess we just roll her up in a carpet now, because that's what he does. Andrew doesn't seem like a great guy. That's the end of episode 3. Episode 4 is entitled Neighborly Advice, and we get some excellent exposition here from Rex Linn. He really elevates this entire episode. So it begins with Andrew rummaging in what looks like a basement or a garage. He's looking around. There's a dog howling in the background, and a man pulls a shotgun on Andrew. Andrew's looking for guns. That's what he tells this man. And the man asks him, what the hell do you plan on shooting? Now, we find out through this episode that this man is Mike Palmer. So this is the conspiracy theorist neighbor. It's just an excellent piece of acting, and I really enjoyed it. This is probably one of the more enjoyable episodes out of this whole web series. Palmer has been bit. He shares with Andrew that that there's something going on, because Andrew's like, I'm gonna shoot my dog, in reference to his question, what the hell are you planning on shooting? He says, I'm gonna shoot my dog Max. Something tore into him. Palmer says, like, haven't you seen the news? The chick on the news says that the CDC is working on it. And this is where we hear that Palmer thinks that it's terrorists. Palmer does share at this point that it is his 50th birthday, and that his kids have made a mess with glitter, making cards for him, and his wife, Maggie, made a fudge cake, his favorite. So we could infer that probably the birthday party that was bloody in the first episode is probably Mike Palmer's. Now, we don't know, because we don't know where that house is in relation technically to Andrew's, but it could be. Now, at this point, Palmer does say, I shot her a while ago, in reference to Maggie. And Andrew is taken aback by that. And he's like, my wife, I shot her. Couldn't do the kids, though. So we do find out that he just couldn't do it. And there's a lot of like rustling and banging around that we're hearing in the background, and we can assume that that is the children upstairs. Palmer agrees to give the shotgun to Andrew under one condition. Take care of me. Take care of the two kids. Take care of the dog. That's 4 shells right there. Then you'll have 4 for yourself. Pump it, pull the trigger. He then readies himself. He then turns the gun around, asks Andrew to hold the butt of it, and points the barrel at his head. It then fades to black, and you hear a shotgun shot. That is the episode, the end of episode number 4. Okay, so we are on to episode 5, entitled Stepmother. Whew. The scene opens with a small conversation between Hannah and Andrew. Hannah describes that this morning they held a funeral service for Billy's fish, an ode to the opening sequence. And Hannah kind of waxes about how she would really like everything to go back to normal. You're hardly even in it, honey, so reel it in. It then switches scenes over to Billy and Jamie. They are at the dining room table. And if you'll remember back to Billy putting back the dog bowl, that is where the rolled carpet is. They are, Jamie's eating something, and Billy is looking out the window. He's looking out the window for Max. And this is where Jamie shares that their dad is a liar and Max is dead. Who else suffers from childhood trauma and can relate to the sequence? Me. So anyway, she goes on to share that her dad's a liar, and Billy's like, no, he's not. And she's like, remember that time he said he would take you to the carnival? Well, clearly dad didn't do that. At this point, Judy, who we know to be in the rug, is up and at him. So if she wasn't undead before, she certainly is now. Talk about an evil stepmother. I hate myself. So Billy is about to scream, and Jamie, being the super intelligent little girl that she is, grabs him by the mouth and drags him down to the floor, and they hide underneath the dining room table. Judy is walking, shuffling around the table. I have to say the acting out of Judy, who again was played by Danielle Bergio, is phenomenal. The special effects look over the top great for this scene. It's amazing. Her lip is all gone and her teeth are exposed, and it's gnarly. Ooh. So at this point, Judy kind of walks around the dining room table and is faced away from them, and Hannah grabs Billy and they crawl over to the closet that's in the dining room. It's like a coat closet, and they go in there. It does have slats on the door, and Judy turns just in time to notice the door closing. So she walks over there, and then somehow, through walker strength and there being slats, I guess, she gets her fingers in and she just like yanks the door open, and the kids are screaming, and Hannah comes in and yells, "Stay away from my family!" and chops her in the head with an axe, which I'm sure, you know, felt good to her as an ex-wife, to the new wife. Right. Our final episode of the web series, episode 6, is entitled Everything Dies, a reference to the first line of the first episode. So they're trying to plan an escape plan, Andrew, Hannah, and the kids. What are they going to do? Well, Mike Palmer has a truck. We could go get that. And I know exactly where the keys are, says Andrew. So he runs over and he goes to get the keys. One, he goes without the shotgun, which is just bafflingly stupid to me. He's got a tiny flashlight in his hand. I'm talking like a pen size flashlight. And he heads into that, it's like basement, cellar, garage, whatever the heck this is that Mike Palmer's in. And he finds that Mike Palmer's body has been dragged away from the staircase. He grabs the keys and turns around, and we hear, one, that the kids are still alive. Andrew, what were you thinking? You should have killed the kids like Mike Palmer asked you to. He agreed to give you the gun on that contingency. What were you doing? Also, Mike, you probably should have had him do that before you did the deed, because you said you never liked him because he thought he was better than you. He's just dumb. He's just a dumb guy. We do get to see, for the briefest of seconds, zombie kids. Screen blacks out and we get a scream from Andrew and a bite sound from the kids. So Andrew is he's dead. Hannah is with the kids on a sofa, and they're waiting, and they hear outside a helicopter, and the helicopter makes an announcement that everyone in the area should head to the green concession stand in the northeast corner of the park. They're going to head to a medical center in Atlanta. As we know, that probably doesn't bode well for anyone, because Atlanta is a cluster. At this point, Hannah decides that they're going to make a run for it. They're going to head to this concession stand. So they go to leave the house, and there's a ton of walkers outside, and they just run past. At this point, we get a shot of Scott Ian. If that's not Scott Ian, well, spank my behind and call me Susie. I don't know, but it really looks like him. There's no way that's not Scott Ian. Anyway, they get back to the car where the girl was at the beginning with the door open, and Hannah goes to look in the car. Now, how she looks in the car and doesn't look into the back seat, I have no idea. We look into the car though, and the keys are in it, so great, they're going to take it, except as she reaches her arm out to check the keys, there's a walker in the back seat who flings himself forward and bites her arm. So yeah, that happened. At this point, she just resigns herself to dying, which I'm like, why don't you shot the walker that was in the car? So like, why don't you just grab the kids and throw them in the car and then drive them there, and then you could say your goodbyes then. You could do it then. You don't have to do it now. You don't have to just resign to dying this second. But that's what she does. So she says goodbye to the kids. It's very tearful. She tells Jamie to run as fast as she knows how to run. And as she's saying goodbye to them and telling them that she loves them, Jamie looks over to Billy and says, "It's okay, baby boy. Everything dies." Which is just it is actually truly sad and a very heartwarming moment, and some quality acting out of these kids. At this point, the kids tear off, so they're running to the concession stand, and Hannah essentially falls back and allows herself to be eaten by, I counted like 12 walkers, with a 13th stumbling in the background, and they go straight for the guts. They just right in the middle, and so she is torn in half. And then we get a scene of her undead, rotting corpse, the upper half only, next to a bicycle. Did you get it yet? And then time as it goes on, she looks like Bicycle Girl. It's Bicycle Girl. Surprise! This is how it ties in. So this is the tie-in, and that's the end of the episode. She died. Everybody died. The kids maybe didn't die. Maybe they went to Atlanta and somehow lived. Maybe, I don't know. Be cool if we could find them again. But probably everybody died. Anyway, this has been a really uplifting episode. Cool. Why did I do this? Happy spooky season, everybody.